I know what you're thinking. I've seen this one, and you'd be right, you have seen the infinite Warthog Run through the jungle machine. But I had so much fun creating that machine, I decided I just had to go back for more. I received a number of comments from viewers across YouTube and Instagram to try different vehicles on the jungle Warthog Run, but unfortunately due to the off-road nature of the design, it was only really the Warthog that would actually work on it, so I needed to come up with a new plan. Something more accepting of vehicles that don't have as much ground clearance as the Warthog. So I started working on changing out the jungle terrain for tarmac. This process ended up being a surprisingly time-consuming as well as parts-heavy process, as although it only took a matter of minutes to remove all of the jungle sections from the actual treadmill base itself, creating each individual road section took ages. They may look like nothing as they're just grey tiled off sections with some line detail on them, but gathering all those parts took a long time, and deciding exactly how I wanted each individual section to look. At first I played around with some different line markings, and then also at first I had it just completely smoothed off. Every single one was all tiles, but that looked really boring, which is why I started creating the damage within some of the sections and making them line up, so when you put them alongside each other it looks like one damaged section across 2 or 3 separate sections. The other problem I had is when you plate stack in length you tend to get curvature on each plate, so unlike the jungle that was covered in foliage so you couldn't see it and it disguised it, this looked worse because when they're all laid up together they don't look flat like a road should. In the end, I made peace with that because the damage to the road actually makes the road look more uneven, which makes the curvature less obvious and less of a problem, because I wanted this to look like a battle war-torn section of road. And after far too many boring hours creating individual road sections, I finally ended up with a completed conveyor belt, as you see here, and I was very pleased with it. So the next thing I needed to do was test a vehicle on it, and for this I decided to use the UNSC truck that comes in the Drone Outbreak set. I'm a big fan of this truck and this set, and I thought it would look good stacked up with supplies. As you can see, I just put some cones, some barrels and some sandbags on the back. And once I got it all hooked up to the road, it worked pretty well. The only problem I had was the truck does tend to want to wander to the left or the right. That's what that central hump down the centre of the road is for, is to try and keep it going straight. Unfortunately, I kept that low compared to the jungle version because I wanted a low clearance to allow more vehicles to be able to go on the road. So whilst it's not perfect, it does keep the truck generally going straight. Now, as much as I enjoy watching this truck roll down this road whilst listening to truck noises, I suspect you guys might find that a little bit boring, so I decided to take things one step further and add some details to this road. Now, this is where you break the illusion because you keep coming past the same things every time, but at the end of the day it's just for fun, so try to bear that in mind when you're watching the rest of the video. So to start off, we'll get rid of the truck because we don't need that for now. And then I think I'm going to add some sandbags to act as a kind of checkpoint for the truck to drive through, bearing in mind I have to leave enough room for the truck to drive through, and potentially a slightly bigger vehicle if I want to try something else on it later. This is straightforward. You just swap out any tile sections for studded sections, build your sandbag emplacements, attach them to the section and then clip the section back into the road. Once it's back on the treadmill, give it a spin round, make sure it works and doesn't want to fly off. You also have to bear in mind you can only ever stud something into one section of road, because as they come off the front and the back, those sections are no longer alongside each other, so you can only stud in on one section, and if they overlap onto another section, you have to make sure that section's tiled only. After the sandbags, I opted to create some concrete barricades, and you may recognise them as this is the build that comes in the Floodgate Firefight set. I've just reduced the length of the barricade by 2 studs just to suit the build. I also picked up these flexible barbed wire pieces, which I'm not 100% sure are actually a Mega part. They were sold by an eBay seller that sells Mega stuff, and I just thought they were really cool and would look really handy in so many dioramas. So I picked up a bag of them specifically to use for this build. And to attach them to the top of the barricades, I simply used a single stud with a hole in the top and some of those joining pieces from the tubes that come in loads of different mega sets. So as you can see, I created 2 fully intact barriers, but for the third one I wanted to mix it up a bit, so I decided to give it some battle damage, as if it's either been crashed into or an explosion's happened nearby, which is why I've got that damage to the road in front of it. And then I just used some slightly different pieces in the same color to look like debris on other sections of the road. And once again, it was great fun creating these 3 little barricades. Once I tested the barricades, I then added a barrel and an orange cone, and then I moved on to adding some weapons. First up, I added a mortar to the damaged barricade, and then 2 heavy machine guns, one behind each sandbag in placement, because that just seemed like a natural place to put them. I also added a smaller sandbag at the front of each machine gun, just for effect, because once again I thought it looked good. I added a few more orange cones in front of one of the sandbags because I just love those orange cones. And then it was time to use the machine and make sure everything worked and nothing got caught up, and it all stayed on and came around time and time again. As you can see, as I'm testing it here, sometimes the plates do tend to lift off. I realized I've only got 2 sets of tracks underneath these individual sections of road. Really, I think you need 3, one in the center and one either side. They would definitely hold on a lot better. Again, that's just going to have to be something for version 2 of this machine. So with all that working, the final thing to do was add some figures to really bring this thing to life. I opted to go with the Halo 3 figures that I got with my Elephant Sand Nest set. Started with the Marine on one of the gun emplacements. This is quite tricky because there's not a lot for them to hold on to. You can either stud them in with their feet and then they've got to go upside down and make sure they don't fall off, or you've got to have them holding something. So every time you put a figure on, you have to carefully rotate the machine to see if it will stay on or if it will come into contact with the sandbags or anything else attached to each one of those segments. It does take a bit of time, but it's quite fun watching them come around and take up their position. I really like the one leaning against the wall. He's not leaning against the wall until the wall comes up and meets him, and then he looks really natural taking cover behind that concrete barricade. We've also got another Marine operating the mortar behind the damaged barricade. And then we've got the Chief himself that's just detached the heavy machine gun to go and cause some havoc. And then across on the other side of the build, we've got the ODST from the Hornet Recon set, just waiting to have some fun with that rocket launcher. So that's all my figures on. So now we need to put that truck back on and turn this thing over and see what it looks like. So I think the truck looks pretty good, but you came here because you wanted to see some other vehicles used on the road. So here we go. Let's see what works.
Thank you. It's been great.
I don't think so. No, 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 no. I don't think so. No, 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 no. It's never, ever, 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 ever gonna happen. I don't think so. No, 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 no. I don't think so. No, 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 no. It's never, ever, 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 ever gonna happen. I don't think so. No, 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 no. Maybe someday you'll have it your way. Maybe someday it'll all work out. Until then, nope, a nope, a nope, a nope, definitely nope, a nope, nope, a nope. Probably never, ever, 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 ever gonna happen. Oh no.